The book Population Bomb is about the concerns of overpopulation and its potential consequences it will have on Earth in years to come. Although this is Paul Ehrlich's book, the concern about the overpopulation was going on for years before he released the book. One of the first people who actually proposed overpopulation was Thomas Malthus. Malthus and many others thought that the poor people were the main people to blame for this. There was actually a magazine over overpopulation in that time period that showed pictures of African and poor Asian women looking very sad next to their children. And in the same magazine, it showed white families looking very happy and with no concerns. It's basically saying that the white family will be fine, but everyone else in the world will not be. Paul did something a bit different than just talking about poor people. He merged the overpopulation stress with the environmentalist movement. He thought that to save the planet, we need to look at the number of people that are on the planet. Paul starts his book off by saying, "The battle to feed all of humanity is over because everyone will starve to death." Keep in mind, when his book was made in 1968, the population was about 3 billion people. We're at almost 8 billion people now. Paul Ehrlich was originally a biologist that focused mainly on butterflies and other insects. So, right off the bat, you can see he's very qualified to talk about why people need to stop having babies so the earth can be saved. In his book, Ehrlich had two main arguments. The first being that there are just simply too many people in this world. He claims that the population doubles every 35 years. But then he says that if the population continues at this rate, in 900 years, there will be about 60 billion people on Earth. He also says that means that in about 50 years, we can populate Venus, Mercury, Mars, and the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. When writing this book, the population was about 3 billion people. But Ehrlich claims that the population should only be around 1 billion people. So since the population was over his imaginary mark, he believed that we as a population need to focus on how we can reduce the amount of people that are on the earth instead of improving the living conditions for the people that are on earth now. His argument is that his next argument is we are not producing enough food for all the people. And the rich countries are sending too much food to the poor countries. He said population growth is exponential, whereas food production is linear. He said it is extremely difficult to keep producing food at the same rate as babies, and at some point we're just going to run out of food. He even proposed that it will get as bad as sending dog and cat meat over because we'll run out of pigs and cows to send to these poor countries. Lastly, here are a couple ideas that Ehrlich proposed. The ideas were responsibility prizes. He proposed that the government gives prizes for couples who were married for 5 years but don't have kids, as well as guys who get vasectomies after 2 kids.